On a bone-chilling winter evening with the air sharp enough to cut through skin, Alex and his friends, Jake, Sarah and Mike, found themselves standing before the house that had haunted their small town for generations. The old mansion, long abandoned, was a place that everyone had whispered about in fear. Its name spoken only in hushed tones, rumors of strange disappearances, unnatural sounds, and dark presences within its walls had kept the town's residents far away for years. But Alex, ever the skeptic, wasn't deterred. "It's just an old house," he said, with a grin, trying to reassure his friends. "No ghosts, no monsters, just a spooky legend." Despite their unease, Jake, Sarah and Mike couldn't resist the challenge. They had heard the stories, but surely they were just that, stories. With a deep breath, they followed Alex into the house, the door creaking loudly as if it had been waiting for them. As soon as they stepped inside, the air grew thick with an unnerving chill. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the soft sound of their footsteps as they ventured deeper into the darkness. The house was a shell of its former self, its once grand architecture now a crumbling reminder of the past. Dust and cobwebs clung to everything, and the smell of decay was overpowering. "All right, let's make this quick," Sarah whispered, glancing nervously around, but her voice seemed to be swallowed by the house, leaving an unsettling stillness in its wake. They explored the house, their footsteps echoing as they walked through rooms filled with forgotten memories. The wallpaper, once beautiful, was now peeling and stained, and old furniture lay abandoned, covered in a thick layer of dust. As they ventured through the house, strange noises began to creep in, soft rustling sounds like something moving just beyond their sight. At first they dismissed it as the wind, but then it grew louder, more distinct, as if someone was walking behind them. "Did you hear that?" Jake asked, his voice barely audible, his eyes scanning the shadows. "Just the house settling," Alex said with a nervous laugh, but even his words sounded hollow in the heavy silence. Yet deep down he knew it wasn't the wind or the house. Something was there, something waiting. They climbed the creaky stairs, their flashlights dancing across the walls, casting long jittery shadows. The temperature dropped even further as they reached the attic door. The moment Alex touched the handle, a strange pressure seemed to settle over them, and the air grew even colder. As the door creaked open, they were hit with the stench of something foul, damp wood mixed with the scent of something ancient, something that hadn't been disturbed in decades. In the attic, the air felt thick, heavy. The beams above were adorned with strange faded symbols etched into the wood like a forgotten language. Alex stared at them for a moment, the room suddenly spinning as though the very walls were closing in on him. The symbols seemed to writhe before his eyes, shifting and changing as though they were alive. His mind began to cloud with confusion. The world around him seemed to fade, and his friends were gone. He spun around in panic, calling out for them, but they had vanished. There was only darkness, the whispers now echoing in his ears, filling his mind. The temperature dropped to freezing, and his breath became visible in the air. A shadow moved in the corner of the room, and Alex froze, terror seizing his chest. The figure in the corner was tall, unnaturally tall, and its form was indistinct like smoke or mist. It stepped forward slowly, its footsteps eerily silent, but its eyes, those eyes glowed an unnatural green, piercing through the darkness. The figure spoke then, its voice a deep echoing whisper that made Alex's blood run cold. "Alex, you've come at last." His body trembled, unable to move as the figure stepped closer, the temperature dropping further. With each movement, the air grew so thick with dread that Alex felt as if he were Suffocating, he wanted to scream to run, but his legs wouldn't move. The shadow reached out with long bony fingers and brushed them against his cheek. The touch was icy, burning with a coldness that sank deep into his bones. And then everything went black. The next morning, Sarah, Mike and Jake returned to the house, terrified and desperate to find Alex. They called his name, but the house was eerily silent. The walls seemed to absorb their voices, leaving nothing but a heavy, suffocating silence in its wake. They searched every room, but Alex was nowhere to be found. Panic crept in as they searched the attic, but there was no sign of him, no trace, no struggle. It was as if he had vanished without a trace. But then, as they turned to leave, they heard it, the faintest whisper, almost too soft to hear but unmistakable. "Alex is still here." They froze. The whisper came again, this time louder, closer. It was unmistakably Alex's voice, but it sounded distant, as if it was coming from the walls themselves. Their hearts raced as they turned toward the stairs, ready to flee, but the door slammed shut behind them. The house seemed to hold them in place, trapping them. "Come back, you can't leave." And as they looked back, they saw it just for a moment. In the window of the attic, a shadowy figure staring out at them, waiting for the next soul to claim. To this day, the house stands abandoned but never truly empty. No one dares to go near it, for it is said that those who enter will never leave. If you listen closely on a cold winter's night, you can hear the whispers carried on the wind, calling for someone to come closer forever.